And welcome to Studio 5. This is a special show focusing on one amazing story. And that's the life of Kurt Warner, who went from stocking store shelves to Super Bowl champion. Warner's life is the focus of the new film in theaters Christmas Day, American Underdog. Now, part of that film is Warner's love story and his connection to his wife, Brenda. In our first Studio 5 sit-down, both Kurt and Brenda are with us. Here's a look at the film as we begin that conversation.
As long as I have a ball in my hands, I feel alive. Kind of like how I feel right now.
I'm staying here. I got work to do.
Work? The NFL's not going to draft some dude from the 1AA school in Iowa.
There were other offers. I called every team in the NFL. No one's interested.
Can I get one of your applications? I promised that I would take care of you and the kids. So that is exactly what I'm going to do.
If this is your dream, don't give up on it.
What would you say is the awakening moment for you in this American Underdog story?
Well, I think there's lots of moments that I learned along the way.
Football.
Yeah, it didn't pick me.
I pick you.
I pick you too.
Our youngest son's name is Elijah. And, we named him after the prophet in the Bible. And a big part of Elijah's journey was in the wilderness and what he learned and how he learned to believe. And he learned what faith looked like through all those times. And so that's really the heart of this movie, is all the things I learned along the way.
He came up with this whole arena concept.
Arena football.
It's like a circus.
People love the circus.
I like the circus.
Learned from this lady right here, challenging me in certain ways. Learned in the grocery store.
You think you could be that guy?
Yeah, I do.
What are you doing here?
When I'm sitting here, okay, how did I get here? Why am I here? God, what are you doing in this situation? There were so many of those moments.
Hey, Kurt.
We've been trying to reach you.
I'm sorry, who are you?
I'm with the Rams.
This is what faith looks like. You can be angry, you can yell, you can ask why, you can challenge God, yet it never drives you away from God. Isn't that what relationship is in our marriage? We're angry at each other sometimes, we yell at each other, we disagree, we challenge each other, but there's no option but to stay together. And that to me is what faith means to me now.
Kurt Warner out of the Arena League. It's one of those stories that's too good for the movies. It's perfect.
This guy here, he was bagging groceries 5 years ago.
You go out there and you show the world what I've known all along.
Brenda, I had an opportunity to speak with Anna about portraying the role of you, and she describes you as a woman of amazing strength. Where does that strength come from?
I believe it comes from my foundation of faith. It's how I was raised. I have a strong faith that there's a plan for my life and that I'm loved by an amazing God. So I think that's where all my strength kind of stems from. But what I love about the movie is showing that faith when you're in the valley, because it's easy to believe when you're on top and things are going well. So I appreciate her saying that, and I hope that people watching also see that, because it all starts with that foundation, of what you really believe.
You were born for this.
Again, American Underdog is in theaters Christmas Day, and we have amazing previews throughout this entire show.
Still to come.
Let's go. Let's get after it.
Yes, sir.
Meet the actor who brings Kurt Warner's story to life on the big screen.
Zach, the filmmakers say that you were born for this role. How do you respond?
American Underdog Zachary Levi sits down in Studio 5.
Welcome back to this special American Underdog edition of Studio 5. And the star of the film is Zachary Levi, who plays Kurt Warner. Here's a look at him in action and our sit-down conversation.
I was so hard on you. I put all that pressure on you. I had to know that you were ready. Had to be sure. And guess what? You are.
Zach, the filmmakers say that you were born for this role. How do you respond?
And you get back out there and you get this job done.
I'd say thank you. That's what I would say.
Yes, sir.
And coach,
Thank you.
In some ways, I agree with them because I don't know, like, you know, that when this all happened, it all felt very fated. It felt very much like God's fingerprints were all over it. So I would agree to them to that extent. You know, if this is all part of my journey since being born, then yes, I was born for this role.
Let's go to work.
All right. That last one was on me. But we got this. Let's get to work. Right doubles, rip, 50 tail, on one, ready.
But, you know, I was also very blessed to have this job. You know, there are lots of other actors in Hollywood. There are lots of other people with lots of talent and even more football experience than I had. And it just happened that I got to be the guy in the place, in the position, with the relationship with the Irwins. They knew me. They knew my talent. They knew how I looked like Kurt. They knew that we shared similar faith. And I think a part of that similar vibe and energy. And it all came together, and here we are, and we've made, I think, a really beautiful, inspiring movie about a true, inspiring, beautiful story. And yes, some of it's about football, but most of it's about real life and family and faith and you know, who is your core community and how are you supporting each other and what does that look like and where are you putting your value and where are you finding your identity and the trials and the tribulations and the really deep faith that one has to have in God, yes, but also in oneself and in each other. And I mean, there's so many layers to it. And it gives all of that incredible Cinderella story that we all know so much more depth and context.
If you had to describe an awakening moment in this American Underdog story, what would you say that was?
You know, Brenda was much more, I think, the religion as a relationship. Kurt came up in a more, I think, liturgic type of a religious background, you know, and in those cases, oftentimes you don't feel like a freedom to just communicate with God. It's like you go and, you know, like in Catholic Mass, or, you know, you would go and confess to a priest or something like that. And all of a sudden, Kurt is now forced to really ask himself, like, what is my faith ultimately? And how do I communicate with my Creator? And I think that moment where something very tragic has happened in their lives and he's tucking young Zach back into bed and he just has this private moment where he starts breaking down because he doesn't know what to do with his sorrow. He doesn't know how to get beyond this loss, this pain. And you just see him very quietly but very passionately crying out to God. And to me, that's an incredible turning point for the growth that he then experiences from that point forward, not just in his faith, but as a man, as a quarterback, all that stuff.
The rookie, man! And what a job by that young man there!
Zachary Levi is great in this film, and of course, many still love him for his work in Shazam. Now, he says Shazam 2 will be even better than the first, but you'll have to wait for it. It isn't due out until 2023. Time now to take a quick break, but before we go, here's this week's Studio 5 Snapshot.
With pictures, we continue our look at American Underdog. Kurt Warner is a former St. Louis Rams and Arizona Cardinals quarterback, known for his sideline step into the NFL and his astronomical rise to fame. But this biopic is about so much more than football. It's a love story, love of God, love of family, and love of the game. That love is why we're sharing this story in pictures in this week's Studio 5 Snapshot. Just moments away.
I love you.
I love you too. We did it.
The Academy Award-winning actress who plays the love of Kurt Warner's life.
She is tough as they come on the outside and can withstand more than most human beings can and still get up and keep going.
Anna Paquin shares what she hopes the world will see in Brenda Warner's real-life story.
Welcome back to Studio 5. As we've shared, the other half of the Kurt Warner story is his wife, Brenda. And the actress playing the role in American Underdog is Anna Paquin.
He's confident because he certainly has something to prove.
Anna, describe Brenda Warner to us.
The kindest, gentlest, most loving human.
Hey, I don't know where we go from here. I don't know what comes next, but we did this. We did this together.
She is tough as they come on the outside and can withstand more than most human beings can and still get up and keep going.
I love you.
I love you too. We did it. She's just an innately good, deeply good human. The more I got to know her, the more impressed I was by, just how she's overcome so many of the things in her life.
How familiar were you with the Kurt Warner story before coming to the film?
Not at all.
Mm.
So as far as getting to learn the story as I was reading the script, I actually had the exciting part of not knowing where the story was going.
Wow.
And so all of the plot, their lives, wasn't spoiled. I didn't know anything about it. So page after page, I just couldn't put it down. And then it was like, who are these amazing people? I think I need to be part of this if they'll have me.
For some, they call this the impossible story. Why do you think that is?
Because there's so many points along the way that he or she could have just gone, this is just too hard. This is too hard and I can't. And, for them to keep going, and I know for them, their faith is a huge part of that, and to just keep getting back up and going again, no matter what, it's not many people are cut out for that.
Where do you go personally to deliver that on screen?
Well, I spent a lot of time with Brenda just trying to absorb as much about her and just trying to get sort of like, and also establish trust so that she didn't feel like I was just some stranger actor lady who was gonna come in and not really care about who she was and what was important to her. And we spent a lot of time genuinely just getting to know each other and talking about everything. And then, obviously things specific to the film and specific moments and parts of her life that were particularly difficult, a lot of them. She's so open and generous with herself. And it was a really unique and beautiful experience.
You defied all odds.
I've waited for it. I've bled for it.
You were born for this. You go out there and you show the world what I've known all along.
Anna is best known for her leading role in HBO's True Blood. She's also the second youngest Oscar winner of all time for a supporting role in The Piano. That was back in 1993, and she was just 11 years old at the time.
Just seconds away. The filmmaking brothers who direct American Underdog.
How do you tell the impossible story?
John and Andrew Irwin share the heart behind their work and this story.
Welcome back to Studio 5. American Underdog hits theaters Christmas Day, and Christmas music is our soundtrack this week. Take a listen and hear why Maverick City Music's Oh Holy Night is what's playing in my ear.
When Christ was born.
Holy Night. By the way, you can find that on Maverick City Music's latest Christmas EP, A Very Maverick City Christmas. Well, we are almost out of time for this edition of Studio 5, but before we go, we want to look ahead to see what's coming up next week.
What's going on, everybody? It's Michael B. Jordan here, and I'm so excited to present the latest trailer for my new film, A Journal for Jordan.
Denzel Washington directs Michael B. Jordan and pays tribute to the life of America's military in this new film about a sergeant killed in Iraq back in 2006. It's in theaters Christmas Day.
Denzel, what about this story drew you to it, to stick it out so long? I mean, because it's been years and years in the making.
What's this?
It's a journal, so you can write to your son.
What do I write?
Tell him who you are, what you believe in, and tell him you love him.
Well, it's just beautiful. It's you know, one of my favorite lines in the movie is she says, "That's what heroes do, baby."
Dear Jordan, the moment I met your mother, I knew she was the one.
He is not exactly my type.
When you try your best, but you don't succeed. And after some convincing, she fell for me too.
I think you are beautiful.
We hope you make the journey with us to Los Angeles for that story and a special edition of Studio 5 next week. As for this week, we want to give the final word to the filmmaking brothers behind American Underdog. Here are the Irwin brothers at work.
How do you tell the impossible story?
You know, one step at a time with a great team. I think first of all is how you do it. But I will say this: I can't believe that in God's plan that this movie has not been made, and that we're the ones that get to make it. And I just think in the destiny of things, in the destiny of timing, it's coming out of the perfect time. The whole idea of the film had been about to rekindle the dreams of the audience, and for people to watch the movie and say, he can do it, we can do it, you know? And to think that, hey, maybe God's plan for me, my destiny, my impossible dream, you know, that little voice you have when you're like, hey, maybe I could do this even though nobody says I can do it. Maybe those things can come true. And so I just think we all need that now, you know, within the way the world is. And so it's been a great story to tell. We're honored to be the ones to bring it to the screen. Blown away that Lionsgate is giving it this Christmas Day wide release, and the families all over America can see it together and be inspired.
Many think we know the Kurt Warner story, but you guys obviously took an intimate dive into the story. What was the biggest surprise?
You know, I think that for us, you know, I'm a sports fan. I started as a sports cameraman while we were getting the film thing off the ground. And so I think, you know, everybody knows the legend of Kurt Warner, you know, going from supermarket to Super Bowl. That part is kind of ingrained in our memory. But I think a lot of people don't understand the human struggle behind the scenes to kind of achieve that status and that level of achievement. And I think a big part of that story was really understanding the relationship with Kurt and Brenda, his wife, and then their special needs son, Zachary, who was blind. And I think it was that part of the story that I didn't understand. So Kurt definitely brought the drive and the arm of a champion, but the heart of a champion came from his family. And that was something he had to discover through time and a lot of failure. And so going into that part of the story was a treat for us. And I think it's going to really catch people off guard how much of the story they don't know.
What do you guys think of your casting? You have some great talents helping you tell this story.
I think that, you know, there's a line in the pack that says to Kurt Warner, you know, in the trailers that you were born for this moment. And I feel that way about both Zach and I. You know, Zach Levi was just born to play this role, and I just think that he's so similar.
Play catch with Kurt Warner, it's pretty great.
And you know, he understands faith, you know, and so it's so cool to see. And then I remember when we called Kurt Warner and said, you're being played by a superhero. And then we got on the phone with Anna Paquin and spent some time, and we got off the call or the Zoom, and I said, Andy, I feel like we just talked to Brenda Warner for a half hour. Like they're the same passionate, fierce soul, And it was amazing. So then we got to call Brenda and said, you know, you're getting, played by a superhero that also has an Academy Award. And so it was a fun moment. And then to bring Dennis Quaid back, and you know, we had such a history with him, and it was so meaningful in our careers as I can only imagine. One of our producers, Mark, did the film The Rookie with him, and so it was just this magical cast, and I can't think of better people to play and embody these roles.
Andrew and John Irwin, thank you. That is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching.